So there's a neurologist, which is a brain doctor, who was captivated by this idea of what happens to our brains when we're in love. And so what she did was she got a bunch of volunteers who said, I'm in love right now. And she put them in MRI machines and she measured their brains. And she discovered that there's actually 3 areas of the brain that light up for everybody who's in love. Those areas were pleasure or joy, risk, as in gamble, like I'm all in, taking high risks, and attachment. Those were the area of the brain that light up when you're in love. Here's something that I've discovered from the scriptures. If you could take God and put him in an MRI machine, you would discover that the areas of his brain that are lit up like off the charts are the areas of pleasure. Do you know that Jesus, when it's described what he did when he went to the cross and he suffered and he died and all of these sort of terrible things that he had to do, or we think that he had to do, the scripture puts it like this: it was for the joy set before him that Jesus endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of God. It was for joy. And risk. I mean, this venture that someone would give their life for the possibility that people could choose a different way of life, a way of love, a way of forgiveness instead of vengeance, a way of freedom instead of oppression. Like, is there anything more that God could have given but his only begotten Son? His risks were off the chart. And why did he do it? Well, he did it for relationship. The scripture says, because once we were alienated from God, but Jesus, through his suffering and death, made us reconciled with God. He did it for attachment. If you could put God in an MRI machine, you better bet what it would indicate is that God is in love with humanity. God's in love with the world. God's in love with you, actually. I wonder about these areas of your life. If your relationship with God could be identified as a relationship that's rooted in love, I wonder if we put you in an MRI machine, if your brain might have joy attached to it, if your brain might have a risk, instead of a safe life, a risky life in an adventurous pursuit of God who loves you. I wonder if attachment might be one of the things that you have cultivated with God, because ultimately God's love is about creating relationship with you. I want to pray for your brain, that it would be joy-filled, that it would be a risky adventure that you're on, that you would be attached to the God who loves you. I want brains that are in love. I hope you'll understand that God is in love with you and that you're invited into that kind of relationship.